Alive and Well STL is a presentation of the St. Louis Regional Health Commission and RareGem Productions to build a healthier St. Louis. Power up with the positive. Learn more at OneRareGem.com. That's OneRaregem.com.
Support for Alive and Well STL comes from Beyond Housing, helps entire communities become better places to live. Learn more at beyondhousing.org.
The Regional Health Commission works in partnership with regional health sector advocates and stakeholders to improve healthcare access, reduce health disparities, and improve health outcomes for the uninsured and the underinsured in St. Louis City and County.
Alive and Well STL. Today we're focusing on the caregivers, the physical and emotional toll that it can have when caring for a loved one.
When I first got this diagnosis, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know what to expect. And so when I talked to Memory Care Home Solutions, they came out, helped me prepare my home to be safe, not only for my wife, but for me as well as a caregiver. Because you're taking care of behaviors that, can really put you at risk, whether it's bathing, hygiene, eating, because they lose the ability to do that as this disease progresses. They can't feed themselves.
We'll be right back.
We all have stress in our lives, and not all stress is bad. But when we live with high levels of stress called toxic stress, we're not achieving our greatest potential. Do you know when stress is too much? Do you know when it's unhealthy? Do you know when you could use some support to manage stress and overcome the difficult things that may happen to you? We'll take 5 to find out how you respond to stress. Take the time to care for yourself and thrive, because when you feel better, you'll do better. You'll see. Visit AliveandWellSTL.com to learn more. Can you create the vision of what it means for you to be alive and well in St. Louis?
For me, what it means to be alive and well in St. Louis is to lead a life of meaning and richness, surrounded by wonderful people who have a continued and shared mission. It means being surrounded by loved ones, community, support, beautiful artistic resources, fabulous nature. Being alive and well in St. Louis is so many rich resources having to do with healthcare, communication. And I really thank this show for highlighting all of the ways that you can be alive and well in St. Louis.
Absolutely. Alive and Well STL. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Jade Harrell, producer of Alive and Well STL. And the duty of being a caregiver to an elderly parent is an important one, but can often be stressful. When the child becomes the parent, the change in roles can be challenging if you're not finding the right balance. Memory Care Home Solutions is making it easier for individuals and families to enhance their skills, as well as adapt their home setting to meet the ever-changing demands of caring for a loved one. I am joined today by Lisa Barron, who is the founder and executive director of Memory Care Home Solutions, as well as Jill Cigliana, program director at Memory Care and a licensed occupational therapist, and also Chuck Jahneke, Memory Care volunteer and member of the board. Thank you all for being here. Your leadership in our community through Memory Care Home Solutions is impactful, and we're eager to have you joining us today. Let's start with you, Lisa. Many children feel emotionally or financially obligated to care for their aging parents or inside their home rather than send them to an outside facility. How can an adult child best accommodate their home as well as their schedule to the needs of their parents?
I so appreciated this question, Jade, and it made me look into what are the statistics, what's really going on out there, and they're incredible statistics. There are nearly 10 million adults 50 years and older who are caring for an aging parent. That number is set to triple in the next 15 years. So there is a huge population. The financial toll on this population is enormous, with $3 trillion being spent through public and private sector means. And what we've found, of course, is there's an enormous toll on caregivers in terms of their own health.
Sure.
So to get to your question, what can we do both in the home and outside of the home to help caregivers? Memory Care Home Solutions is totally devoted to helping caregivers lead a dignified life, as we've said before, in terms of alive and well and richness of purpose. But we're also very, very dedicated to helping them within their home. But what we can recommend to caregivers themselves is to take care of themselves, to have a physician. They're no good to anyone unless they're good to themselves. To join support groups, to know about things like senior daycare centers, in which their loved one may enjoy and live a fuller, richer life. To certainly reach out to friends and family and support groups. as someone who's involved as a caregiver for the second time around now, I can fully vote for telling stories and reviewing pictures with people. Just love, comfort, and support.
So, Jill, we'll go to the programs. How have the programs helped reduce caregiver stress, and then also how to help our loved ones gain a better aging experience altogether?
Sure. So our program is really comprehensive, and we try to reduce stress for families in different ways. So the first way is by teaching families how, well, first of all, we try to assemble the whole family, because we know that being a caregiver for somebody who's aging and has dementia is not a one-person job. It's not a one-person job. So first of all, we try to build support in place around that family by asking other family members who maybe don't live in the home, maybe who just check in once a week or once a month, to come and be a part of our first in-home consultation. And the strength of that is we're able to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on with the loved one, how is the dementia affecting all of their behavior, and how is it affecting the lives of the people who also live in this house or live outside the house but support this person. So we start by getting families on the same page, letting them know what's a normal part of aging, what's a normal part of dementia, which of these behaviors, which are very stressful for families, which can we improve, which can we put strategies in place to manage or prevent some of the challenging behaviors. So through improving difficult symptoms of dementia, we lower the stress for everybody. But we also teach families how to engage their loved one with dementia in meaningful activities. Because a lot of times families only see the difficult times. They only see what their loved ones can't do anymore. They see abilities that are slipping away, but they don't see all the beautiful strengths and abilities that still remain. So we spend a lot of time teaching families how to engage the person with dementia. We might have to change the task a little bit. We might have to modify our approach, but we can still engage and create quality moments, quality family time together with the person with dementia. And then we also try to build formal support in for the whole family. So whether that's we can get some caregiving help into the home, we can get a loved one connected with a home delivered meal. There are wonderful resources available in our bi-state area, and we try to bolster up the informal support from family, put informal support around the entire family unit. And then we also try to help families make small changes around the home so that the environment is more supportive for the person with dementia. And then we also do a lot of help walking caregivers through goals to take care of themselves, whether that's they get, time to go connect with their own friends, time to connect with their church groups or volunteer groups. We help caregivers set real clear goals about taking care of themselves. There is nothing more important than self-care when you're tasked with taking care of somebody else that you love and care about.
Sure. Now talk about how important that is and how burnout can happen, but also how we can avoid it.
Sure. The families we work with are very prone to burnout because, for one, they don't identify themselves as caregivers. They say, I'm just the husband, or I'm just the wife, or I'm just the daughter. I'm not a caregiver. I'm doing what my husband, wife, or parent would do for me. So they need some encouragement to stop and realize that in all of their selfless, wonderful action, they might be neglecting themselves. So sometimes because caregivers are so selfless, if we frame self-care in the context of how it helps their loved one, they're more likely to engage in taking the steps to take care of themselves. They might not want to do it for themselves, but if we can help them understand how by taking care of yourself, you will be able to keep mom or husband or wife home for a longer period of time, which is your goal and their wishes.
Sure.
We help families identify the signs of caregiver burnout when we have, health conditions, when we have emotions are changing. We see people who are tearful and agitated, and we have people who are able to say to us in very plain terms, I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Oh, wow.
Because this job is so hard.
It is a very hard job.
It is. People suffer from sleep deprivation when their loved one's getting up and needing them through the night. It's a constant 24/7 job, even when you don't live under the same roof as the person with dementia. And the other part that helps caregivers follow through on self-care is validation, because so we spend a lot of time helping them see the wonderful contributions they're making to their family, showing them all of the things they're always worried about what they're doing wrong and how they could be doing a better job, but they haven't stopped to take the time and acknowledge everything they're doing right. Caregivers are amazing people, and we have a very lucky job of being in a position to tell them how wonderful they are and show them what's right about all of the sacrifice and help they're putting in place for their loved one.
Absolutely. So this ties into some of those memorable moments, but it's valuable because it's on all sides. It's a shared experience and very powerful in that way. Well, Chuck, I want to also direct some questions your way, and that is, after facing Alzheimer's in your own family, what do you consider some of the biggest challenges to people with Alzheimer's face? And second, what is the biggest challenge that caregivers face, and how do you know this?
Well, first of all, my wife was diagnosed in 2008 with moderate stage Alzheimer's. I took care of her at home, which is something that I think she wanted to have because of earlier in a few years after we were married, her father was real sick with cancer, and he wanted to be home, and so but that couldn't happen, and I know she took after him. And so I knew that's what she really wanted. And in my situation, that was really what I had to do anyway, was to take care of her at home. The biggest challenge, though, for anybody that's diagnosed with the disease is really accepting it. And in many cases, there are those who receive the diagnosis of this disease, and they accept it and then work with their caregiver as to make their life as productive and as full as they can during the progression of the disease. In the other case, there's those who are in complete denial.
Sure.
My wife was in complete denial. So anytime that we would even mention this disease, she would become irritated, agitated. She didn't even want to go to the doctor if that's what she knew that we were going to the doctor for. You become almost a creative in how you manage that person and their behavior as to get them to do what you need them to do. And also the thing is that, with this disease, they know really early on that at some point they're going to lose their independence. They're not going to be able to take care of themselves. They're going to be dependent on someone else to take care of their day-to-day needs. And I really think in my wife's case, that really made her angry. And I know that's something that she really was upset about. But as the disease progressed, she really didn't, know how to manage that within herself as to how she would express those feelings. She would just become agitated, throw things, use abusive language in some cases. She would yell at my daughter. Catherine would just just be shocked at what her mother's behavior would be. And so I think that's the real difficult thing with anybody that has this diagnosis. For a caregiver, for me, when I got the news that she was already in moderate stage Alzheimer's, I knew right then and there that I could not fix it. Now, that's something that all of us, when we're faced with a problem, the first thing we think of is that, well, how do we fix this problem?
What are we going to do?
We can't fix this. So my goal was, I'm going to try to get this, manage this, give her the best life that she can have for whatever many years she has left, and take care of her the best way that I can. And that's where Memory Care Home Solutions came in to play for me. Now, so for me as a caregiver, how they help me understand what the disease is, what the progression of the disease is, because it moves through different phases. She already was beyond the early onset. So at age 54, when she was diagnosed, she was already in moderate stage Alzheimer's, which meant we were playing catch up. And we were always trying to manage a behavior or a condition of hers, which is already beyond where we thought she was. And so you're never really catching up. It's like that train pulling out of the station. You're trying to grab on, and you can't grab it because it's just moving too fast. And for her, her progression was so fast that, like I said, she was diagnosed at age 54, and she passed away at age 58. I had basically 4.5 years that I took care of her, and it went from moderate stage. She ended up in hospice at home, which I kept her at home, even through her last stage. Memory care was there to help me through all those different phases, and were there with me to the end. Sure. And she passed away at home with her family. My daughter Catherine was there. Her sister was there. We were all there with her. And but it's just in terms of, like Jill was saying, how you make your home safe. When I first got this diagnosis, I had no idea what to do. I didn't know what to expect. And so when I talked to Memory Care Home Solutions, they came out, helped me prepare my home to be safe, not only for my wife, but for me as well as a caregiver. Because you're taking care of behaviors that, can really put you at risk, whether it's bathing, hygiene, eating, because they lose the ability to do that as this disease progresses. They can't feed themselves. Sure. And with my wife, not only, and she was a speech and language pathologist for 28 years. Wow. Ironically, she lost her ability to speak.
Yes.
She couldn't speak. She lost her ability to use her hands. She couldn't feed herself. She couldn't take care of herself. It got to the point where she couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair. So I had to learn how to manipulate her, to get her in and out of bed, to get her in and out of the bathroom, to take care of her personal needs. Mm-hmm. And so that's where Memory Care came in and really helped me be able to strategize and plan for whatever those progressions were going to be as we move through the journey of this awful disease. Sure. And so
it's a very trying.
It's very challenging. And so what as far as being a caregiver and taking care of yourself, it's very important.
Mm-hmm. How so? Because, you said that this was something she wanted. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't ask if that was something that you had wanted. And
Absolutely.
You're fortunate to have had the help.
Absolutely. I was all,
so
and my daughter Catherine was the same way. We were all, Catherine made the decision to stay home while she was in college to help, with her mother. And she was a great help. I did have a help with a caregiver would come in 3 days a week for half days. But as I like to tell people, in the 168 hours in a week, mm-hmm. I had 12 hours of help.
Right.
Outside help.
And the
my
other
daughter
hours,
and I had. So.
And the other hours, how did you implement the care for yourself so that you could create like you said, the best experience for her?
Well, the one thing I did, first of all, is I put together a team of health professionals because mm-hmm. my wife not only had Alzheimer's, but this all came about because back in 2005, she experienced a heart attack at work. Now, that was the red flag. Something is going on here. But at that point, we also found out she was diabetic.
Oh, my.
She had high cholesterol, hypertension. She had other health issues that was masking what was really going on with the Alzheimer's. And so at that point, she was already in early onset Alzheimer's, but it was masked mm-hmm. by all these other things that were going on. So we spent close to 3 years trying to manage that and figure out what was going on. And finally, what the turning point is that she was driving to her sister Pat's house, and she got lost. Now, she's made that trip hundreds of times. She comes back home, and I told myself, something is not right. So we got her into a doctor, got her checked out. She didn't do well in the cognition tests. We had an MRI done, and that's where we had the diagnosis of moderate stage Alzheimer's.
Yes. So you said that you got tremendous help from Memory Care Home mm-hmm. Solutions. What was the greatest benefit to you among the many? Would you say that?
Giving me the confidence that I could give my wife the best care that I could, and know that I could I could rely on them to give me any advice or help or lead me to whatever I needed as far as help to give her the kind of help that I needed, because her characteristics would change.
Yeah.
She was a fantastic person, had a great personality.
Yeah.
All of a sudden becomes argumentative, agitated. That wasn't Anna Marie. That was, that wasn't the person that I married 30, at that point, 30-some years ago.
30-something years.
Well, we were married 31 years, yes.
And you knew her completely differently than what
And her
you
family
came to
did.
experience. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
How did you come to terms? Now, we talk about physically taking care of your health and understanding what's going on. You experienced your Anna Marie
Yes.
of 30 years become someone different.
Yes.
Can you help our audience with that piece of it? To how to hold on, or if you do hold on or accept, where do you go?
I think it comes down to support from other organizations that can help you through this, keeping things around the home that pictures, have family members come over and visit, and what I would say is that there's always that small part of them that is still them.
Okay.
And so that's what you really have to, attach to and understand that, they're still the person that they were. They're changing, but that's what I always held on to, is that she was still my wife, and she was still there, and so and that was it for me.
That's a beautiful thing to hear. I'm going to throw one more question at you before we go, but I have to take this back to Lisa. This is why you created this organization. When you hear Chuck, how does that resonate with you?
When I hear Chuck, it totally resonates with me in that it is purely the reason why we created the organization. Chuck talked about feeling empowered and having confidence, and that is exactly what our family did not feel when we experienced this in 2000. We were dealing with being caregivers. We were a fairly educated group of people. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's, and my father-in-law, there were 4 children. Nobody really knew what to do. We wanted to be great caregivers. We wanted to give whatever we could to make their lives meaningful, and we simply didn't know how. And what was really heartbreaking is that we watched my father-in-law specifically lose weight and not sleep and become less engaged in the community. He was really a community leader, and that was heartbreaking to watch. So this organization was really born out of a need to find out answers and to help caregivers lead meaningful lives, and certainly to help the people who have any sort of cognitive impairment to be able to retain those abilities that they still have. And we're so blessed that this is offered entirely free of charge. Oh, wow. There is absolutely no diagnosis that's necessary. We go to people's homes. We go anywhere in the bi-state area. And if there's nothing else that comes out of this wonderful opportunity with you, it's that people really need to call us. We're waiting to help them.
Absolutely. Well, share the number. Let's not delay. Share the number.
Right. Our number is 314-645-6247.
Well, as we come to a close, there's something I want to address that's off script. And I see that it makes a difference when we're talking about caring for our loved ones once they have a diagnosis, or once they start to age, or once they have a situation that we're going to have to care and deal with and work through. Before any of that happens, and this kind of ties into your hope for the community, but before any of that happens, what could you say or want to say to people with regard to their lives, their loved ones, and the moments that we have today?
The biggest issue, the real reason why people do not call us, is because of denial. They really don't want to see that something is wrong. And to call our organization, you don't need a diagnosis. You just have to know in your heart that something's a little off. And you just have to be a caregiver. And that caregiver is a family, friend, spouse, sibling. Any concerned caregiver can call us. So that's really what I want people to know. Don't wait. We're here, and we're here to help you free of charge.
Sure. Please share with regard to that, before we get to the point.
Well, we wish people would call us sooner. So I hope that everybody listening today thinks about the older adults in their lives and knows that it's very easy to mask and cover for declining abilities. When you pick up the phone and call your loved one, they're more likely to say, everything's great, I'm fine, I'm doing well, no, I don't need any help. But to please dig a little deeper, because you can't see dementia. You can't hear dementia over the phone. When it's just getting started, you have to dig a little deeper to look for the clues. And we're happy to help people know how to ask the right questions.
There are a couple of empowering questions that we should know when we call our loved ones off top.
Sure. I think stopping by and making a visit is always the best way to connect. But some of the early red flags that we see are people who start to have problems with financial management, people who've maybe been very particular about paying bills on time their whole lives now are, double paying one bill, but forgetting to pay another bill for 3 months, and they might be getting a disconnect notice in the mail. So sometimes, and these are questions that are a little hard to ask, and you can't see by looking at someone if they're paying their bills. Nutrition is something that gets difficult for people to manage in the early stages of dementia. Planning and preparing and eating 3 good meals a day gets very difficult. Mm-hmm. So this might be when you're over for the visit, peeking in the fridge, seeing how is the food in the fridge expired? Is there evidence that this person actually is eating 2 or 3 meals a day? And driving is another one of our big red flags. Chuck mentioned that when his wife got lost on a familiar drive, that's often an early sign. Mm-hmm. So just dig a little deeper, look closely at finances if you can. People are private. These are tricky questions. Finances, the ability to manage medications because that's complicated, the ability to plan and prepare meals, and driving. And those are kind of some of the big activities where we can catch clues early on.
Take a little extra time, look more closely, and check on somebody.
Yes.
Check on somebody.
Make a phone call and a visit.
Exactly, and a visit. Go figure. Visit them. Chuck, I'm going to have you go a little deeper as well. You had 30 beautiful years. You had no idea this was going to be the outcome.
Never knew I'd be here in
exactly
2015. That's
for sure. Share with our listeners, our audience, how to make the best of the years, the days that we have each day, and why.
I would say, and what we tried to do as a family is we would spend as much time with her as we could, try to make it, as quality of time as we could, because and I've always heard this from other people. They'd say, well, she's or he's not going to remember, they don't remember their birthday, they don't remember their, the holiday. And I tell them, say, look, make a point of celebrating those milestones within your family. Make sure that you're sharing that time with them, because you never know, there is a part of them that they may still connect. And whether it's either for a minute or 30 seconds, to me it's worth it. Yeah. And that was what kept us going, is that we always would try to connect with Anna Marie. We always would we never missed birthdays. The last week, this is kind of funny, the last week that she was alive. Now she passed away 1 week after my daughter's birthday. So that week before, we had a little birthday party at our house, just Catherine and at her fiance Peter, and so Anna Marie's in hospice. She's in our bedroom and she's on oxygen. Okay, so I'm in the room there and I'm kind of tending to her, and she's in. We have our room looked like a hospital room. So Catherine and Peter are in the kitchen and they put candles on the cake. And they walk in the room with this cake with all these candles on, and here she's on oxygen. which you're not supposed to have a flame anyway. And I go, oh, well, that's nice. Well, we better, move it. And they realize, oh, yeah, we need to, to change this up a little bit. But I would never tell them not to do that, because and even though she was, she only had a week left, which at that time we didn't know, I was just so grateful that we were able to, share that time with her.
Sure. And that's a funny moment, but there's that example of making sure your home environment
Yes,
is not only safe for the person you're
Right.
caring about, but for the caregiver. Is there anything else you want to leave with us before we go?
I would, just because I think talking about quality of life moments is so important, and whatever we've all learned, it's great to share. And with my mother-in-law, this was 10 years ago that we were dealing with this, and my father-in-law she was lying on her bed looking straight up. I mean, this is the point that she was at, and he would tape all of my daughter's pictures above her for her to look at, and he was so sure that she was enjoying every one of those pictures. And we're living in a miraculous time.
Yes.
So now my father-in-law has some cognitive issues, and when grandsons call him and FaceTime with him, it is phenomenal. It is. There are so many ways to connect, and I encourage everyone who knows somebody that they think may have some sort of cognitive impairment, reach out, talk with them, connect with them in whatever way you can. It'll mean a lot.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, Lisa, Jill, Chuck, we are so thankful that you joined us today, bringing this powerful information, empowering questions and things that we should look for, and awareness, as well as the opportunity. Would you share the number one more time?
Yes, with
Please.
pleasure. 645-6247, 645-6247. You should use it. Tell 5 people that you suspect may be able to benefit from our program to use it. We're here for you.
That's right. And so we want to thank everybody for joining us again today for this episode of Alive and Well STL. We look forward to speaking with you again next week. Of course, for more information about today's program and to become involved in Alive and Well STL, follow us on Twitter at Alive and Well STL, or visit us online at aliveandwellstl.com. We're also on Facebook, so friend us, like us, and watch for these videos and more, and share them with the people that you care about. Look for Alive and Well STL also on YouTube. Take it over to visit your loved one and share some of that with them. We'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening. Alive and Well STL.
We are grateful for your gift of time to this conversation. We encourage you to stay involved and get involved.
You are invited to join the conversation. If you, your family, or your organization is interested in talking about how we better the well-being of the region, sign up for more information, join the conversation, log on to aliveandwellstl.com, and let's build a plan on how we can work together and improve our overall health and become alive and well. The Regional Health Commission, with Chief Executive Officer Robert Friend Jr., committed to providing a detailed review of change over the past decade in 14 leading health indicators for the city and county of St. Louis. The first decade review of health status report, an update to building a healthier St. Louis. Discover the narrative, the data, and celebrate the progress already made to improve healthcare access and reduce health disparities in our region. Learn more at stlrhc.org. Alive and Well STL is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.